The Zacks rank, value, momentum, growth, and income all factor into Zacks rank buys.
We're going to talk about a couple of interesting momentum Zacks rank buys with our momentum strategist Dave Bartosiak, who joins me now from Zacks.com. But before we do that, you want to kind of go under the hood a little bit of how you arrive at these Zacks rank buys that you talk about here.
That's
week
right.
After week.
Today I'm going to give them a little behind-the-scenes view of what goes on behind the curtain.
Okay.
You know, it's not like the Wizard of Oz or anything. You know, you have to pay attention to the man
he was
behind
small,
the curtain.
so unlike you.
That's right. Well, that's because, you know, I did the Alice in Wonderland thing and got those mushrooms.
Oh, well, there's a technical indicator that you use to identify these stocks.
There is. So at the easiest one to use is a moving average. So all a moving average is you take the average of the closing prices for a stock over a specified period of time, and then you have the moving average. So if you wanted a 3-day moving average, I would just total up the last 3 closing prices, divide it by 3, boom, that's your 3-day moving average.
Okay.
So you can use this as a trend indicator. So when you're trying to figure out if a stock is on the way up or on the way down, you can use this as a gauge. So if a stock is trading above that moving average, then it's in an uptrend. If it's below it, then it's in a downtrend. And if it's right on it, then you're basically in a range bound or kind of a horizontal sort of market. So you can play with these a little bit, and you can add short-term, intermediate-term, long-term moving averages depending on what type of trade you're looking at, how quick of a time frame you have in your trading.
Are those the different types?
Right. Yeah. Well, short-term, medium, intermediate, and long-term are the types. But there's no one set of laws that govern what exactly is a short-term, what exactly is an intermediate, and what exactly is a long-term. It's kind of up to you, based on what type of trading you're going to be doing. So you can also tell different stages of trends by using 3 of these in conjunction with each other. So for example, if you use like a 20-day, a 50-day, and a 100-day moving average, you can use the 20-day moving average to determine what's going on in the short term, right? And then look at the longer term moving average, like the 100-day, to determine what the overall longer trend has been. And what traders often do is they'll look for changes in the short-term trend that are against the long-term trend, right? So let's say the stock's on the way up, but recently it's shown some weakness, so it's kind of pulled back. So you wait for it to kind of come in contact or get closer to that longer-term trend, and then flip above the shorter-term trend, and boom, that's when you jump in.
So which type do you use?
So for this trade, the kind of trading we do here when we're coming up with kind of swing trading ideas where we're going to hold them for a few weeks or a month, I like to use 20-day moving average is a good one to use.
That's the short one?
That's a shorter one. Well, we're going to apply that. We're going to call it short now, but there are traders that use 3-day moving averages, and that's their short-term average. So it just depends on your kind of trading preference and who's doing the trading and how you want to profit, how quickly you want to make these moves. So I like to use 20. I throw a little wrinkle into it when I'm doing my service. I'll do a 25-day, but I'll shift it. And for a variety of reasons I don't want to get too much into, but there's things that you could do to change these a little bit to adapt to your style. And you have different types of moving averages that you got to look at too. You have a simple moving average, you have an exponential moving average, you have a weighted moving average. So there's different ways to calculate it.
Okay.
So the easiest to use is just a simple moving average, so that's what we're going to look at today. So on a quick chart here that I pull up on the S&P 500, I wanted to show everybody 3 different moving averages on this chart. So that's where I did the 20-day, the 50-day, and the 200-day in this case, so that you can see that here the blue line is a 20-day, does a lot of flipping back and forth, up above and below the price action. The 50-day is a little more consistent, a little more smoothed out, where it dips below much less frequently. And then the 200-day almost never gets touched, and when it does, everybody's running around screaming with their hair on fire, especially when it comes to the S&P 500. Joke's on them, because I don't have any hair to catch on fire.
I was going to say,
this is the aftermath. This is the forest floor after the fire, right?
Okay.
So scorched earth, baby. The 200-day, it got touched in late or mid-October when we had that nasty dip. And even with today's action, we're still seeing the 200-day down 1970-ish, somewhere like there. So we're still good.
Today being January 14th.
Yep, the 14th.
So for clarity, define a short-term moving average.
So when you can use at home for short-term moving average, use a 20-day simple moving average is a good short-term average you can use.
Okay. Well, a little bit more work than the old dart at the stock board method, but probably more accurate.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you think about it mathematically, in order for something to be going up, right, it has to be going up relative to another, some point in time, right?
Sure.
So if you're using the average of what the price has been the last 20 days, and today it's above average, then you can say, okay, well, this must be in an uptrend, because if you look at all what happened in the last 20 days, this is getting better. So that's kind of the simplest way to look at it.
Makes sense. So you want to get into these individual stocks now?
Right. So what I did is I looked at a couple of Zacks. I looked at the Zacks #1 rank list on our site.
Right.
And I just started going down one by one, looking for stocks that had either retreated to their 20-day moving average or just popped above, to get a couple of stock ideas here. And that's what we got. So the first of which is GDOT.
Yeah, so you say they're a tech-centric, pro-consumer bank holding company. What does that mean?
That's just a fancy way of saying they sell debit cards.
Oh, okay. Why didn't you just say they sell debit cards?
Yeah, right. Well, they're like a prepaid debit card service, but they're trying to be, trying to get into that non-traditional, not brick and mortar kind of thing, but the online banking space is really where they're trying to get to.
Okay.
So that's the kind of company that they are. And you see here, of course, it's Zacks #1, Zacks ranked #1 strong buy, and they've pulled back to this a little longer term moving average here. So here I have a 200-day, which is a lot more significant over the long run. So you can see how this is sideways basically on this price action. So it's been range bound here a little bit, but with that healthy pullback down from 24, this might be a good time to kind of peck at that one a little bit.
Then there's.
And then the other one is Federated National Holding Company.
Right. Property casualty. I can even understand that.
Well, there you go. So it's an insurance company, which, of the financials, I think the insurance companies have been doing a little bit better, especially if you look at the banks. They're not, doing so hot. They've got some issues. So this is one of the spaces where I've seen, stocks really do well. And this one is differs from that green dot chart in that this has kind of moved along that longer term trend that we've seen here. So this chart is kind of pulled back to support there and has got this nice little, from bottom left all the way to top right chart pattern on it, which is great. So it's just kind of building along the way. This one will give you fewer headaches than that green dot might.
All right, own either?
Neither.
Check out other stock stuff on our website, Zacks.com. Link to it all off the homepage. With Dave, I'm Terry Ruffalo.